Live from the JSA Podcast Studio, presenting Data Movers, showcasing the leaders behind the headlines in the telecom and data center infrastructure industry.
Welcome, everyone, to our new podcast series, Data Movers. I'm your host, Jamie Scotto-Kataya, founder and CEO of JSA, along with my fabulous co-host, top B2B social influencer, Mr. Evan Kirstel. Hey, Evan.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you, Jamie, and everyone else. Another great episode where we sit down with the most influential folks in the data and telecom space, which support the new requirements of this brave new world we're in. So, Jamie, Bitcoin is all in the news. Are you a cryptocurrency enthusiast?
You know, I follow a few companies, but I've been watching your tweets is really where I've been getting my latest knowledge of the Bitcoin rave craziness. What's going on?
Well, don't rely on me for financial advice. That's my first suggestion. But do you have a wallet? Do you have a crypto wallet where you buy Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, or is that not yet on your to-do list?
Not me personally, but certainly some of my friends, yes.
Yeah, so we've seen Bitcoin go past the epic $50,000 mark, which, given that it was, not too long ago, a few dollars, it's kind of an incredible milestone. And the whole crypto space is on fire. And I think you asked me before the show, what's behind this? And I wish I knew. What do you think?
I'm gonna say what you said to me. We're all talking about it. So it's driving the numbers. I mean, it's all perception, right? So,
perception is reality, and the perception is that the dollar's going to collapse, or it's a hedge against economic turmoil, or that it's has some magical fairy dust that's been sprinkled on it. It kind of reminds me of the tulip craze in the 17th century Netherlands, where people would bid up tulips to thousands of dollars per bulb. There's no inherent value, but some pretty big names like Elon Musk and some banks and others are all in. So what do you think? Buy, sell, or hold Bitcoin? What's your personal guess at this point?
Yeah, I mean, buy and ride and then sell.
Yeah, Jim Cramer on the line here. I actually decided I had some Bitcoin I've been putting in. I sold it all at 50,000. I thought, just take my money and run. I had a good ride for a little bit. I wasn't one of the early buyers, but I'd hate to see that gain that I had disappear, which these things can do. But on to our next topic. Speaking of tech trends and hot technology, who do we have with us today?
Yeah. Actually, I think there's a beautiful transition here because, I think Bitcoin wouldn't be where it's at if there wasn't a look into secure methods of transport. And this leads us into our introduction to BDX and the CEO and his unique perspectives of the future of our industry. So today, please welcome Brahm Singh. Welcome, Brahm.
Hi there, Jamie. Hi, Evan. Nice to
good to see you and hear you, Brahm. You're in Hong Kong at the moment. Pretty exciting place. Any insights into how's Hong Kong treating you at the moment?
Hong Kong's lovely. Hong Kong has always been good to me. Whenever I have faltered in my life or career, Hong Kong has picked me up. So for me, Hong Kong, I live in Virginia, Oakton, Virginia. That's home, but Hong Kong has always been a second home to me. I love this place.
It's fabulous. Well, it's a dynamo of a sort of super city. So tell me a little bit more about Hong Kong in the context of your vision and mission at BDX. How did you come to be in Hong Kong and in Greater China as well? And how has that mission or vision evolved?
Sure. Well, Hong Kong is important to BDX, but it's not central to BDX. BDX is more of a Pan-Asian play. pan-Asia Pac play, including China, of course. Vision-wise, we're barely a year old and we're already profitable. And you can attribute that to how we decided to kick off. And that was to not get distracted by, shiny objects and just to focus on one thing and to be great at just one thing rather than being good at many. So we have just tried to be the best. We are not yet the best. Be the best at building or housing our customers' IT infrastructure. That's it. Just we want to be the best around to house the infrastructure that the customer puts in our care. That's it. So that vision has kept us, going. It's behind how we acquire other data centers or build data centers. And the vision has not changed. It's not changed, even though our customer profile has changed. So when we started off, our customers were largely enterprises, large enterprises, medium enterprises. And they, of course, continue to be the mainstay of BDX. However, surprisingly, for a company this young, we have started to attract the large hyperscalers. And so now hyperscalers, or you may call them the large tech companies, are now part of our customer mix. It scared me in the beginning, I'll tell you, I'll be frank, because I thought, there we go. We're going to now go after this large sector, and that distracts us from our focus. But it did not. All it did, and I'm so relieved, all it did was help us focus more on being good at housing our customers' IT infrastructure. So to that extent, this change in customer mix, which had me concerned in the beginning, has not messed with our vision. So that's our vision. It's got nothing to do with Hong Kong per se, though Hong Kong is important. We are more of a pan-Asian, pan-Asia Pac company.
And I love your laser focused vision on the mission. It's absolutely critical for success. And to launch last year of all years, what a tough one for many companies, yet not just BDX, but even the data center business as a whole has been really thriving, growing, expanding. What do you see as the main drivers there?
So it's you guys. It's the credit for any growth in the COVID era goes to the people like you and me and Evan and the rest of us scurrying around the internet to eat, work, play, going to the public clouds a lot more than we would normally have, and all of that translates into more data centers. Those clouds, by the way, are not in the sky. They are in rows upon endless rows in data centers like ours or my competitors. So to that extent, the more the hustle bustle on the internet, the more data centers you need. And that has been the reason, really, more than, I would like to claim that we did a great job, which I'm sure we did, but the credit goes to the huge move online, which, by the way, was already taking place prior to the pandemic, right? So it's not as if the pandemic came and suddenly everyone moved online. That's not the case. Online activity has been building up and building up and building up. The pandemic comes and simply accelerates it and gives it an impetus that wasn't there before. Now, there are some irreversible changes that are going to take place as a result of the pandemic, right? There's no denying that. And take two of them, our eating habits and our travel, right? Your restaurants are going to come back, to some extent, but a large percentage of their revenue is going to come from takeout, home delivery. Home delivery is the thing now, right? So that's not going to change. That's going to only get bigger. So the pie, if a restaurant looks at its revenue source, it's going to be takeaway more than in-house dining, I suspect. But a bigger hit is going to be, or a bigger change, I shouldn't say hit, is going to be to the travel industry. So personal travel is going to come back, of course. Like I'm now, end of this month, I plan to fly to San Francisco to see my daughter and family. So personal travel is going to happen, right? But business travel is going to be limited, reduced. You're not going to have people like me or my colleagues traveling on business as much as they were in the past. I would travel to construction sites, but to meet a customer, or my first recourse would be all this fabulous video conferencing abilities that have been granted to us over the internet ever since the internet became a video playground. That's another story. Our video conferencing, home delivery, working from home, all of this means more data centers. So really, that's why you are seeing data centers, doing a double-digit growth these days. Not just us, but our competitors too. And that's where the change, the permanent change has happened, I think.
Great insight. So let's get into some details. So you're growing at BDX, you're entering new markets, acquiring new facilities across Asia. I see you've built a state-of-the-art new data center in Nanjing in China. Tell us about what's unique about this facility, how it's better or different than anything you've done before.
So the Nanjing facility came up just when we had decided on how we're going to structure BDX. The one way BDX is different from a lot of my friends in the competition is that we have our data centers are highly automated, minimally manned, highly automated, and connecting back to a central, what we call C cubed, that is centralized customer command and control. So our central platform now is patched into every data center in the BDX cluster. So a lot of stuff that would remain in data center, a lot of activities, a lot of manpower that would be in each data center has now been centralized. So of course you can't centralize electrical and plumbing and mechanical activities. They remain in data centers, but the rest of it is all centralized. So now, and this is the only way we could have managed to do all these acquisitions effectively and economically, because you can't just acquire a data center and then get all. So each data center comes with its own complete business infrastructure, and all of that duplication makes it very expensive. So rather we'll centralize that, and to that extent, Nanjing is unique because now it is minimally manned, highly automated, connected back to central command, and functioning as, well, I won't say lights out as yet, but as it expands, it'll become an almost lights out data center, which is highly automated. And that's, I think, the future of this industry. The other interesting anecdote pertaining to Nanjing that I would love to share is how it was built in the middle of COVID, almost by remote control. I used to visit Nanjing once a month in 2019, and that completely ceased in 2020 when after January I couldn't go there because there was a lockdown. Right. And yet in November, when finally I managed to go there and get out of quarantine and go to my data center, we had a data center staring back at me, completely built, fully functional, without the presence of any senior BDX staff. How did this happen, you ask? It is we have a young team. We call them under 35s in Nanjing. They just said, heck with it. they took charge and they supervised and got that building done. So that is as far as I'm concerned, it's minimally manned, highly automated. But for me, at a very personal level, the uniqueness of Nanjing is the fact that it was built without us interfering, and the team on the ground took matters in their own hands and built a brilliant data center there. So that for me is the uniqueness of Nanjing.
That's amazing. It's amazing. And I feel like it's a great transition to this next question I have for you, as well as your high focus on your mission, and we've been talking Bitcoin, but as the need for more data co-location capacity continues to grow, so of course is the need to safeguard this data. And at BDX, you guys have really developed some tools to go over and beyond here, such as your BDX 360 and BDX Smart Hand. So can you tell us more about these solutions and the safeguarding that you put in place?
Sure. I'm actually very excited about BDX 360 because of why it happened and how effective it is. Why it happened, again, I hark back to our focus. We are focused on just delivering housing for IT infrastructure for our customers. So then we built a lot of tools around that housing. And one of the best little things we did was BDX 360. BDX 360, so I spoke about the central command we have. So the guys in central command can go on their PC, laptop, smartphone, wherever, and have a complete insight into the vital signs from every data center in the BDX cluster. So the guys in central command can see the vital signs in Nanjing, Hong Kong, Singapore, and manage situations. The same tool, the same 360 BDX 360 tool, can be used in each data center by the facilities folks there to manage their data centers. And here's the best part: the same tool can be used by my customers to manage and look at, monitor the vital signs in their ecosystem. So whether they have a rack or a cage or a hybrid ecosystem connected to public clouds, they can use the 360 to look at all that and manage it. So that's the beauty of this little piece of IT work we did. It's pretty genius. I could do it and deploy it very economically because the same tool we use for central command, each data center, and customers. Now, this is something the competition has been working very hard to do. Some have got there, some haven't, but they've all got there in a very expensive way. We got it done by using the same tool in all these locations. So that's why I find this exciting. And this tool is what gives the customer the security, because now he can access it, using QR codes that that's only generated for him. He can look at what's happening to his racks or his cage and manages ecosystem.
Yeah, that's super impressive. I think there's a view that the data center world is somewhat being commoditized, but it's great to see you innovating there in a major way. So looking at your career, you've been in this industry a long time. I won't ask how many decades that has been.
It shows.
But tell me, what are some of many decades? Yes, I'm on my third decade here personally in this industry. But what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen personally over the course of that career?
So if this is your third decade, you'll remember this change I'm going to talk about. The first biggest change that I experienced as a young guy in this industry was the demise of the accounting rate. So while the accounting rate was in place, and just for the younger folk on this chat we are having, the accounting rate was this completely artificial rate put into place between the two telecos, right? They were the masters of their domain. AT&T was master of the US. Hong Kong Telecom was master of Hong Kong. And they decided what's that rate at which they would pay each other for calls they terminate. Completely nothing to do with reality, just a number they would pick so that they could overcharge their customers. So that was the accounting rate. And because of that, when I first joined this industry, we would only fly first class. And then there would be a car pulling up to the tarmac to pick us up. It was like a diplomatic mission. And so that ended. When that ended, that was the first big change we, old school guys had to deal with. The second big change, I guess, was the advent of the internet, but not so much the advent of the internet as the internet becoming a video playground. That was the big change, when everything and anything could be done on the internet. And that had a great, very interesting, I won't say great because it impacted all of us. It had an interesting twist to the tale. And that is, with the advent of the internet becoming a video playground, the mantle of masters of the universe moved from the telcos to the big tech companies. It moved from the telcos to the OTTs or the hyperscalers, the big tech companies, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Microsofts, the Apples. They now called the shots in this business simply because of how the internet transformed itself. So that was the second biggest change in my career. The third one was a collateral of that, and that was the demise of the carrier hotels. Earlier you used to have a carrier hotel. You want to connect to into the internet or connect, you had to go to the carrier hotel and interconnect there. Well, soon the independent data center operators like Equinix and others, CoreSite and others became more powerful. And CoreSite itself, for example, in Los Angeles, I remember, their carrier hotel was One Wilshire. One Wilshire was the queen of the West Coast, and the carrier hotel in 60 Hudson was the queen of the East Coast. And somewhere in the early 2000s, CoreSite started building, I think it's 900 Alameda, which became their center of the universe slowly, because that's where they would house Google. That's where they would house content. So content players and eyeballs then became the mainstay and not carrier hotels. So that was, I guess, the third one. The fourth one, I won't go into too much because it's not very interesting, but very germane to changes. And that is that the subsea cables then became, again, they were sequestered literally by the high-tech companies. So now Google, Facebook build better cables than the telcos. Think about it. The whole subsea universe, which is the artery of the internet, the arteries of the internet, are gone from the telcos. Well, they still are there, but the big players are the big tech companies. The last change, guys, is something that's going to be happening even as we speak, and that is renewables taking over from fossil fuels. People say, when was that tipping point? It could have been the advent of the Tesla. It could be a variety of things. I do believe it could be the Paris Accord. I do believe it was during the presidential debate when Biden, the then candidate Biden, dissed fossil fuels in the debate with Trump. And I thought, oh my God, there he's lost the presidency. He's not going to win. He's not going to win. You can't diss fossil fuels in America. He did it. And guess what? Nothing happened. He became the president. And that's because the American public has already reconciled itself to renewables. And that's the big, big, big change for us in the data center world, because we are not exactly, the various municipalities are, where we go and locate ourselves are not exactly enamored by the amount of power we pull and by our carbon footprints. And so renewables are going to be key to us in the future. This is going to be the big change. So these are the 4 or 5 changes that I have seen happen in my lifetime. And I'm so glad I've managed to survive all of these. I hope I survived the renewables one, but yeah.
Well, we need to post those 5 points into an article in the Wall Street Journal tomorrow. That was a great, epic answer to to a pretty simple question. Thanks. Jamie?
Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal answer. And, kind of leads me to my next question, which is a little bird did tell me that when you're not uber busy being CEO of BDX, you also maybe try your hand at writing a few novels. So tell us, and clearly you're a storyteller from your last answer. Tell us, what have you written and what are you still working on?
So okay. So I write 2 hours every day, either 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 in the morning before I do my day job. So this is a habit I cultivated while writing the first novel I wrote. And by the way, I just I'll write novels or I'll write tech stuff, nothing in between. So the first novel I wrote, I've written is Bombay Swastika, and it's about this Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany who ended up in what was then Bombay, now Mumbai, and so that story took off for 3 months. I think it was on the Amazon Best Read. And by the way, no self-publishing, proper publisher, acquired the rights. And
that's great. Do you have a movie deal? When can we see the movie?
They are, funny you ask. They are actually, someone's doing what they call a Netflix Bible. I don't know what that is. Someone's doing a Netflix Bible on that, and they keep calling me up. The publisher does, to ask for comments. I do that, but so who knows? Yeah, we'll find out. I mean,
wonderful.
BDX doesn't give me any time to to have those fantasies. So let's see.
Well, that's fabulous. I'd love to read the book. It's quite a fascinating premise, actually. I'm interested in history.
Bombay Swastika. Take it out. Yeah, get it on. If you get a hard copy,
I'll take a look.
And you're working on something now too?
Yeah, actually, yes, Jamie. My next book, which I'm working on, is called Her Browser History, and it's about Washington D.C. politics. It's a thriller. Washington D.C. is very close. Where I live in Oakton, it's just 30 minutes from D.C. So this is about Washington D.C. Her Browser History. Yeah, let's see when it comes out. The publisher is on my case because one took an advance and spent it and has not written the book yet. So they're not happy. They're not happy.
So that's awesome. It's really interesting to see what you're involved with. And we actually have some rapid fire questions now, which we have mainly to try to embarrass you, but I don't think we're going to accomplish that. I think the first question I know the answer to: if you could live anywhere in the world post-COVID, post-lockdowns, where would it be? And I think it might be Hong Kong. Is that right?
No, it would be Oakton, Virginia. That's my home, man.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I was thinking of something a little more exotic, like Mauritius or Saint-Tropez or something. But okay.
I go back to Oakton. I love it. I love it too much. It's a curse to love a piece.
That's great. Well, if you weren't in this industry, what would you be doing? I also think I know the answer there. So these questions aren't very revealing at this point. But what would I assume writing?
Yeah.
And the third question: what's your favorite pastime? Again, I'm guessing writing, probably reading too. Any good book suggestions that are not of your own authorship, or?
Yeah, you should read a very underrated author who is my guru. I've never met him, but he's taught me a lot. Is Martin Cruz Smith, who wrote Gorky Park. Read him.
That's a classic. Yeah, that was published maybe 30 years ago, or
yes,
40 maybe at this point.
One of the few books that became an even better movie. But his other books are phenomenal. Havana Bay. He's just a great writer. So he's one. And the other guy who I would recommend you read is a professor in Stanford. His name is Adam Johnson. He wrote a book called The Orphan Master's Son, which has to be one of the best books I've written. Never got a chance to get it. It's about North Korea. Brilliant book. Brilliant book.
Jamie, we may need a favorite author section in the show notes here. This is
amazing.
This
I'm
is a
writing it down. I
fun
always
topic.
what I need to read next. I'm definitely picking these up. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, Brahm. It's been such a pleasure. You've taught me so much. I have oodles of notes here, and I appreciate your insight. And thank you, Evan, always for joining us as my fearless co-host here. And guys, if you've enjoyed watching or listening to today's Data Movers podcast, be sure to check us out, jsa.net/podcast for upcoming Data Movers episodes. We release every other Wednesday. So go ahead and listen in there. Evan?
Yeah, and be sure to follow us on my favorite platform, Twitter, at jscotto, and of course, Evan Kirstel, where we will engage and retweet you.
In the meantime, as always, guys, happy networking.